Welcome back to another explainer. All right, let's jump right into this because today we are unpacking a fascinating, deeply universal psychological tension that literally every single one of us experiences. We're looking at a concept that takes those moments of everyday indecision and elevates them to the level of epic warfare. It's intense, it's totally relatable, and it completely reframes how we think about our own minds. Let's start by looking at what goes on inside your head on any given day.
It usually starts out of nowhere. A massive, high-stakes question just drops right into your lap. Like, should I get a divorce?
Or maybe before you can even catch your breath, another one hits you. Should I resign? Am I really going to uproot my whole career today? Or maybe it's a bit quieter, but it just gnaws at you. Is he actually reliable? Can I trust this person? Just pause for a sec. We've all been there, right? Feel the weight of those questions, that totally overwhelming, spiraling anxiety of pure indecision.
Well, that exact feeling has a specific name in the framework we're exploring today. It's called the battle of the soul. It's literally defined as the conflict of consciousness between two diametrically opposed viewpoints happening inside one single person. This whole philosophy comes directly from Guy Zhifeng, who is the founder of Life Shenyuan. And Zhifeng argues that these aren't just passing thoughts. No, they are literal internal wars. Let's see how this text breaks down the anatomy of this hidden warfare.
Section 1. The Inner Battlefield.
So, Guy Zhifeng paints this beautifully tragic picture of our psychological landscape. Look at the crazy contrast here. On side A, you've got the outside world. It's how we present ourselves, right? We look totally calm, harmonious, maybe even a little glamorous. But then, side B is the reality of the battle of the soul. On the inside, it is fierce fighting, anger burning. Zhifeng literally describes it as a bleeding heart. It's this life-or-death cruelty raging inside our own heads, and it is completely invisible to the person sitting right next to us.
The text uses some incredibly rich imagery to make this abstract idea feel super real. The author writes that this battle feels like, quote, a confusion in our hearts, a fishbone stuck in the throat, overcast with haze. Wow. So it's not just some passing headache, you know? It's a visceral, physical sensation of being completely trapped between two irreconcilable choices.
Section 2. The Clash of Values. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics. Why does this inner conflict even happen? Zhifeng's crucial point here is that absolutely every battle of the soul is fundamentally a clash of values. It's always a trade-off. Take this super common, everyday dilemma from the text. One side, eat meat. The other side, do not eat meat. Some folks are firmly in one camp, some in the other. But when you can't decide, when you're torn between, say, the ethics, the health benefits, or the cultural norms, bam, the battle of the soul begins. The pain starts purely because your internal values are clashing.
And of course, the text scales this up to way more intense interpersonal betrayals. Listen to this extreme scenario Zhifeng proposes about infidelity. If a wife has an affair and her husband finds out, a massive battle of the soul kicks off for him. Look at these options from the text. Kill her, divorce her, tolerate it, be happy, encourage it. I mean, how he chooses depends entirely on his values, right? Does he stick to traditional societal norms, or does he cave to raw, natural impulses? The sheer, agonizing torture of not knowing which path to take, that is the battlefield.
Section 3. The Cost of Conflict.
Now, failing to resolve this internal war has some incredibly heavy consequences. Take a look at this number, 1 million. According to the text, that's the estimated number of global suicides every single year. Guy Zhifeng soberly frames this as the ultimate tragic loss in the battle of the soul. See, when two opposing values are so evenly matched in your mind that neither side can win, you don't get peace. The text argues that a person just becomes completely dispirited, ill, or tragically ends their own life just to escape the battlefield. It is a really stark reminder of just how high the stakes actually are.
Section 4. A World at War.
All right, let's do a massive zoom out here. What happens when we take this idea out of the individual mind and apply it to the whole world? Check out this table, because this is where Zhifeng's philosophy scales up in a big way. He argues that wherever you have contradictory values, you essentially have a war. Size doesn't matter. Inner turmoil, that's a war. Marital arguments, war. International trade disputes, also war. The source material is basically saying that macro-level war is just the exact same psychological phenomenon, the battle of the soul, but magnified.
To really drive this home, the text points to a specific geopolitical example. It argues that the Sino-US trade war isn't just a surface-level economic dispute.
No, it is fundamentally a war of different systems and values. So basically, the core of all human warfare, whether it's happening on a literal battlefield or in a corporate boardroom, is simply a battle of souls.
Section 5. Finding the Pure Land.
So, if everything from our daily indecisions to global geopolitics is one big battlefield, how do we ever find peace? Well, first, Chef Feng is very clear about where you will not find it. He makes a really strict assertion that the pure land of the soul is not found in money, power, marriage, political parties, or traditional religion. Actually, he argues that chasing peace through those conventional worldly pursuits will just aggravate your internal conflict.
I mean, you have to hear this incredibly striking metaphor used in the text to dismiss traditional societal milestones. Guy Xufeng writes that trying to eliminate this battle by building extensive relationships or getting married is, quote, equal to quenching your thirst with a poison. Yikes. It might seem like a quick fix in the moment, but it ultimately destroys you faster, simply because you're dragging even more clashing values into your life.
So where exactly is this pure land? We're going to objectively lay out Sui Thang's specific claim here. He writes that the Pure Land, quote, is in the new mode of production and life created by Life Chan Yan. Basically, the author asserts that true peace, completely eliminating the battle of the soul, can exclusively be found within the specific framework and lifestyle of the organization that he founded.
Which brings us to a really fascinating final thought, pulled straight from the concluding wish of the text. Look, we all face these agonizing internal choices every single day. So the ultimate question is, will you find your own pure land, whatever that ends up being for you? Or will you remain stuck in the mud of the battle, physically and mentally exhausted? It's a super interesting lens for looking at our own anxiety, and I really encourage you to reflect on what values might be clashing in your own mind right now. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.